Kashmir, a word that evokes poetry, paradise, and pain, all in the same breath. But before it was a battlefield, it was a beacon. Long before geopolitics and gunfire, this valley cradled civilization. 5,000 years ago, early humans settled here, crafting tools, domesticating animals, and gazing at the stars. This was not a remote outpost, but a cradle of organized life, even before the Indus Valley matured. By the time Siddhartha, Gautam Buddha, walked the earth, Kashmir was already a center of thought. Ashoka the Great built stupas here. Kanishka summoned Buddhist scholars from across Asia to this valley. In fact, the fourth Buddhist council was held in Kashmir, not in Bihar, not in Lanka, but Kashmir. Then came the age of Shaivism, a philosophical gold mine that gave India some of its deepest metaphysical ideas. Abhinav Gupta, a polymath unparalleled, wrote here. Kalhan documented kings in the Raj Tarangini, one of the earliest historical records in the world. Kashmir was Hindu, not just in faith, but in culture, in thought, in soul. It was not a footnote in India's history. It was India's history. Nestled between mountains, yet connected to every corner, Kashmir was a hub, not a hermit. So what changed? A storm was brewing from the west, and it was not the kind that passed with the seasons. The 12th century marked the beginning of a transformation, not of nature, but of identity. Shah Mir, a Central Asian warlord, arrives and soon establishes the first Muslim dynasty in Kashmir. And with him begins a centuries-long erosion of the valley's Hindu soul, its Sanskrit tongue, its ancient wisdom. Then came Sikandar Butshikan. The name itself tells you what he did. He earned his legacy not by building empires, but by burning temples. He banned Hindu rituals, Sanskrit was silenced, idols smashed. Conversion wasn't by compassion, it was policy. And for those who resisted, exile, death, or both. When the Mughals came, Kashmir became a summer resort. The brutality eased, not because they were saints, but because they were sated. But the real horror came after them, under Afghan rule. The Durrani Empire treated Kashmir not as a territory, but as plunder. Afghan governors bled the region dry. Hindu minorities, especially Pandits, were reduced to less than livestock, taxed for their religion, targeted for their existence. It took the Sikh army of Maharaja Ranjit Singh to end the Afghan nightmare. His army marched in, not to occupy, but to liberate. Under Sikh rule, Hindus found some reprieve, but governance remained strict. The valley had changed, not just its rulers, but its memory. What was once Sharda Peeth now whispered its heritage in secret. Kashmir had become a land of silence. 1846, the British Empire, fresh from victory in the First Anglo-Sikh War, had no interest in Kashmir's soul, only its strategic slope. So they sold it. Yes, sold it. For 75 lakh rupees, Kashmir was handed over to Raja Gulab Singh of Jammu, a Dogra, a vassal, not chosen by the people, not rooted in the valley, but convenient. To his credit, Gulab Singh expanded the kingdom, absorbing Ladakh, Baltistan, and Gilgit. But beneath the expanding borders, old fractures remained. A Muslim-majority region ruled by a Hindu elite. And then the British did what they do best. They lit matches around oil barrels. Divide and rule wasn't just a policy, it was doctrine. They fanned communal differences institutionalized religious identities and ensured neither side trusted the other. Muslim clergy were empowered as counterweights. Hindu reformers were tagged as radicals. Newspapers, schools, even religious events were segregated in tone and treatment. By the 1930s, unrest was growing. Kashmiri Muslims wanted representation. Hindus feared erosion. Dogra rulers, caught in the middle, leaned on British support and suppressed dissent. And as the Indian independence movement gained pace, Kashmir was left confused. It wasn't part of British India directly. It wasn't free either. It was a state waiting for a storm, and in 1947, it got one. 1947. British India is cleaved apart in a bloodbath. Two nations are born, one secular by soul, another Islamic by design. Kashmir, a princely state with a Hindu ruler and Muslim majority, stands at a crossroads. Maharaja Hari Singh hesitates, unsure whether to join India, Pakistan, or stay independent. But Pakistan had no patience for sovereignty. It invades. Under the garb of tribal rebellion, Pakistan unleashes a brutal assault on Kashmir. Villages are burnt, women raped, Hindus massacred, thousands flee. The intent is ethnic cleansing. The silence? Deafening. Hari Singh, left with no choice, signs the instrument of accession to India, legally binding, unconditionally sovereign. Indian troops land. Srinagar is saved. India wins militarily, but loses strategically. Against the advice of Sardar Patel and others, Nehru internationalizes the issue, dragging it to the United Nations. A bilateral internal matter now has external referees, and Pakistan? It plays the victim. The valley, fully acceded to India, is now labelled disputed, thanks to New Delhi's own misstep. A ceasefire is brokered. Pakistan retains one-third of Kashmir, now called POK, or Pakistan Occupied Kashmir. India holds the rest, but not without conditions. Article 370 is inserted. A temporary provision, they said. But temporary things have a way of becoming permanent in politics. Sheikh Abdullah, once a supporter of accession, soon begins nurturing separatist tones. Jammu and Kashmir gets its own constitution, its own flag. Indian laws don't automatically apply. When his intentions became too clear, Sheikh is jailed. But the damage is done. The seeds of special status have already been sown. Pakistan tries again. Infiltrators cross over, hoping to spark an uprising, but the locals don't rise. The Indian army crushes the operation. Tashkent Agreement is signed, and once again, India hands back what it won, in the name of peace. Meanwhile, across India, communal fires start flaring up. Pakistan watches, smiles and sharpens its next blade. The next war wouldn't just be about land, it would be about breaking India's back from within. 1971. Pakistan is split in two. India intervenes, Bangladesh is born, and Pakistan's wounds are not just military, they are ideological. Humiliated in the battlefield, Pakistan shifts the war to the shadows. Across the line of control, Pakistan nurtures a proxy army. Terrorists trained, funded and funneled into Kashmir. And in the background, radicalization. Extremist preachers declare jihad. Posters appear warning Hindus to leave. Those who stay are killed, brutally, publicly. January 19th, 1990. a night of terror. Mosques blare threats. Pandit families are marred, raped, burned, shot. 350,000 flee overnight, turning proud citizens into permanent refugees in their own country. This wasn't migration, it was ethnic cleansing, and the world said nothing. The state government led by the National Conference watched, sometimes silently, sometimes complicitly. Terrorism was not just tolerated, it was nurtured. Separatists were given platforms, stone pelters got salaries, and amidst all this, excessive unchecked population growth in radicalized communities, changing demographics on the ground. Even after nuclear tests, Pakistan tried again in Kargil. And again, the Indian Army responds with unmatched courage. But back home, politicians play safe, and the rot continues in the valley. Textbooks poisoned minds, separatists roamed freely, even as the rest of India surged ahead. New metros, new industries, Kashmir remained frozen. Not due to geography, but due to governance, or the lack of it. Then in 2019, the tide turned. Article 370 was abrogated. In one stroke, the illusion of special status was ended. No separate flag, no parallel constitution. Kashmir finally, legally, fully, was brought at par with the rest of India. Today, Kashmir is healing, slowly, unevenly, but surely. Investment is rising, terror is declining. For the first time in decades, there is hope. And just when the valley began to breathe again, the old ghosts returned. June 2025, Pahalgam. A group of Indian tourists, families, children came seeking the Kashmir they had only seen in faded postcards. They found monsters instead. Terrorists stopped the vehicle, asked names, pulled down pants to check for circumcision, and when they confirmed the men were Hindus, they shot them, one by one, in front of their wives, their children. This wasn't war. This was ritualistic hatred, and India had seen enough. In retaliation, India did what it should have done long ago. The Indus Water Treaty, a magnanimous gesture from a peaceful nation, was declared null and void. For decades, we let Pakistan drink from our rivers while it bled our land. No more. And then came the airstrikes. Precision, power, purpose. Terror launch pads in POK flattened. Operation centers vaporized, messages sent. India didn't retaliate for revenge. India responded for remembrance, for every Pandit displaced, for every soldier ambushed, for every tourist gunned down for their faith. Because this is not just about territory anymore. It's about dignity, justice, closure. And Kashmir will no longer be the breathing vein of Bharat.